Midweek already. What is happening, my friends? How the hell are you? And I know the news has been pretty tough recently. Seems like everything's on fire. Well, actually, LA has been. But things are crazy, and there's fights going on here and back and forth, and there's media fights and everything going on. Let me tell you, some things happened yesterday that are great for common sense and sanity in our fair land and in your life, and some great takeaways. What kinds of things? Well, if you're not a big fan of Gavin Newsom, especially you Californians, this is probably pretty good news for you, because I think his whole rise to prominence, big moment in the sun, which is ironic because there's terrible things happening in L.A., in one of his cities, has ended before it even started, and I'll tell you why. And even his press conference was screwed up with technical difficulties last night. We've got that to talk about as well. This is a big one. This is way bigger than it seems to be on the surface. Simone Biles, famous gymnast, who everybody loved at first, 48 hours after blasting Riley Gaines for defending women in sports, had to apologize. And it's like one of those PR apologies, but read between the lines in this and look below the surface. There's a massive, massive win for this and a takeaway for everybody, for sanity, finally, on this. And this may be the turning point on it. Also, I told you a week ago, everything's going to work out between Elon and Trump. Elon took back his comments about Trump yesterday, and things are already being patched up. Next step in this process, of course, is going to have to be, you know what? We got to get a lot of these cuts done, obviously, but we'll get to that story as well. I told you it was going to work out. They're kissing and making up already. But let me throw out a poll question. We'll get to the comments a little bit later, because I'm still seeing an amazing amount. It's shocking to me. I thought this at first as well, but then I kind of said, I don't know. But what do you think? Tell me in the comments, whatever platform you're on, whether it's on X or watching on Wicked Wisdom with Bill Adams on Facebook or the YouTube channel, throw in some comments. Do you still think, possibly, and I'm not saying right or wrong, do you think the supposed beef between Trump and Elon was staged? Do you think it was all made up to achieve a larger purpose? Just tell me what you think about that before we get to the apology. In the meantime, thanks for finding me. Thanks for finding the live stream. Appreciate you as always, whether you're watching live or on the replay later on or listening later on the audio podcast, wherever you like to get those, which will get posted as soon as we get done here with the live stream in just a little bit. All right, let's get to it. Well, we got to start with the biggest news story of the night. Gavin Newsom from last night. Big press conference. They said he's got a big announcement to make. Big announcement. He's going to announce all this stuff. He's going to settle everything down. He's going to quell the riots. He's going to calm everybody down. He's going to push back against Trump. All right, let's go to one of the LA news stations to see what the big press conference from Governor Gavin sounded like last night.
Okay, we are working on the audio. Not sure if that's on the governor's end, but we're working to get that production up and running.
You know how they always say the jokes write themselves? And everybody jumped on it and pounced on it immediately. Even his press conferences are screwed up. Is everything in California broken? So that was one thing. But it actually did get off, and they finally got the words of what he said, and they published it themselves anyway. Well, here's Gav talking about the situation in California and beyond. Now, keep in mind, this is his big moment. When you think of politician, when you think of the prototypical politician, pretty much in everybody's mind now is Gavin Newsom. It's hard to find people that don't think he wants to run for president after all this. So it stands to reason that he would use all this chaos, and it is chaos, as his big moment in the sun, his moment to shine. He's going to fix everything. It's his moment. It is not turning out that way. This is why I tell you I think it's good news. If you don't happen to be a fan of Gavin Newsom and you don't want to see him being the Democratic frontrunner, he still might be, but you don't want him gaining all this momentum, let's put it that way. You should be happy about this, because it is not working out well for the man. Here's the biggest takeaway everybody's jumping on from the press conference last night. You know, once it actually did make it to the air.
California may be first, but it clearly will not end here. Other states are next. Democracy is next.
What do you mean other states are next? How is this supposed to be? And remember, they billboarded this thing and they promoted this as this is from his office. The governor is going to, he's going to be the voice of reason throughout all this. He's going to push back on the Trump administration. This is how you do it? You put fire starter on the fire that's already burnt, and you throw it on there and you say, other states are next. How is that making anything better? He is getting blasted for this, and rightfully so. It was bad from start to finish. I watched way too much of this. And a lot of this thing was the typical, it's Trump's fault. He incited all this. He got everybody. We're living in fear. And the other takeaway was, we're going to protect all Californians. Well, that's the problem, see, Gav. Here's the problem. Because everybody sees it through now. Everybody sees that the reason why you want to protect illegal immigrants is because you want more congressional seats. You want more instant voters, and you want to have one party rule, yours forever and ever, and now everybody sees it, okay? And here's the takeaway. Here's why it's good. Here's why him being thrown and thrust into the national spotlight so fast and so early is a bad thing for him. Now, he may wind up being the Democratic candidate for president coming up here in a couple of years, in a few years. He may be. It may happen already. But it's already falling apart because the rest of the nation sees right through it, which is a great thing if you don't happen to want that guy on the national stage, not just in California. You know, a lot of us in other parts of the country have said, yeah, he's totally incompetent, but keep him over there. Fine. That's California's problem. Let's not deal with it. We don't want him in any way, shape, or form being the rest of the country's problem. So it may be ending before it begins for him. You know who said this so well, way better than I ever could last night? Vivek was on Jesse Waters last night. You may be still mad at Vivek Ramaswamy. Maybe. I don't know what your deal is on this. You can't deny the fact that he understands the political landscape now that he's been in politics for about a year and a half. And he's running for governor of Ohio. He understands exactly what it is. He understands how the media works. He's very well spoken, and that is one smart dude. Okay? Can we agree on that? That's a smart guy. He understands the situation. He was basically saying the same thing. It's over before it began for Gavin Newsom. And he made a direct comparison that was actually pretty brilliant. He said, Gavin's not going to like this, but what he's doing is very close, very akin to what George Wallace did in Alabama in the Civil Rights Movement, where he blocked the federal government. And he was the guy blocking integration and desegregation. Interesting point. And Vivek also went on to say this.
It's the same Democrat governor playbook. You dodge the feds, you rally the radicals, and most importantly of all, you do it in front of the cameras. Because what they were both doing is really carving their Democratic primary path for their presidential ambitions.
Isn't that amazing, though? I mean, he said it perfectly well, better than I did. But he's exactly right. But here's the difference, and here's the takeaway. What's different about this time? What's different about it now? We all get it. Everybody's aware of it now. Everybody sees the game, or almost everybody. Most people you talk to, I know you do, I do, they see what the game is, and they see that Gavin Newsom is trying to pounce on this and take advantage of it for his own political ambitions. But it's not going well. So again, the takeaway is everybody's aware, and when they're aware of this guy screwing up already and blaming him, he is directly tied. He is. As much as he is the face of the modern politician, he's also directly tied to these LA fires and riots. He really is. You think of that, the next face you see because of the publicity, and he's put himself out there and jumped in front of every single camera. Riots and fires and chaos, Gavin Newsom. Fail. Absolute fail. So if you're no big fan whatsoever of that guy, you should probably be pretty happy about this. Here's another thing that happened yesterday, by the way. This whole Terry Moran ABC thing, well, that resulted in that guy getting fired. This is the background of the story. So, and I first saw the news from Variety about Terry Moran, one of ABC's main anchors. He has been let go. Remember that used to be like a shocking thing, but it happens more and more with the major networks now, and there's a specific reason why. It's because of fighting back. Terry Moran had been one of ABC's top national correspondents early Sunday, and still nobody can figure it out, and still he has never apologized for this. You might have, I'm sure you saw the story. It was big at the time. He went on a rampage rant. I don't know whether this was like bottomless mimosas, unlimited drink package at the bar, Sunday brunch kind of thing. He went off on Trump official Stephen Miller, who's been in the news quite a bit lately, saying things such as, and this is a takeaway from the quote, one of the people who conceptualizes the impulses of the Trumpist movement. If you see somebody say Trumpist movement, you know where they're coming from, and translates them into policy. He's a world-class hater. You can see that just by looking at him, because you can see that his hatred and his spiritual nourishment. He eats his hate. This is an ABC, or was ABC news anchor saying this kind of thing. Well, not anymore, because they did at first the fake apology kind of, we don't stand by these comments. There were unconfirmed reports that other ABC staffers were all mad at him. He never apologized. Well, now he's been let go. And ABC made a statement last night that they're letting go of Terry Moran for these unhinged political rants on X about Stephen Miller. So that's one thing. So you may look at that on the surface and say, well, good, he should. Nobody should be able to say that. But here's why it happened. Let's not forget, and this is a little bit of a rewind, ABC had to settle. Trump has the CBS lawsuit, too. That's the biggest one. But remember, ABC had to settle a $15 million lawsuit over the George Stephanopoulos comments about Trump. This was about the E. Jean Carroll alleged rape thing, blah, 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 whatever. And he got his facts wrong. So Trump, in a personal lawsuit, sued the network, and he won. Or at least he got it to a settlement and got $15 million. Here's why this is different now and why major network anchors get fired over things like this, because they don't want to get sued again. So they used to get away with this kind of stuff all the time. They're unhinged, whatever, mimosa-fueled Sunday brunch rants, whatever it was. They used to get away with this kind of stuff, and not anymore, because they fought back. This is where fighting back, if you've got the means to do so, always pays back. It's an amazing takeaway, and it's happening more and more. Trump did not put up with this whatsoever, and he launched this lawsuit immediately. If he hadn't, this kind of stuff still would have been able to go on. But the fight back happened. It was just amazing. Amazing development there. You never want to see anybody lose his job, but that guy still never apologized for it. Just an unhinged. He eats his hatred. Like, who even, I follow some people and I'm friends with people on social media that I don't know if they've even said anything that strong. That's just nuts. And he's an ABC News anchor, or at least was. I don't know where he goes now. He's probably knocking on the door of CNN or MSNBC already, so I don't think he's going to be out of work too long. So don't worry about that. Speaking of Trump for a second, he had a response on Truth Social to the aforementioned Gavin Newsom press conference. And what he had to say about it was in typical Trump style, but followed up on exactly really what we've been saying about Gavin kind of falling apart before he even got going here. Trump on Truth Social last night, the incompetent, and that was capitalized. Governor of California unable to provide protection in a timely manner when our officers, great patriots they are, attacked out of control agitators, troublemakers, insurrectionists, make America great again. So here you have Trump just jumping on exactly what everything's happening here. So Gavin Newsom saw this as this big shining moment. There was not a camera he didn't jump in front of all the time. Remember the day before yesterday, the quote from Gavin Newsom, "Come on, tough guy, arrest me, arrest me." He's making himself part of the story, challenging Trump. And then the press conference last night where it fell apart, it's not going well for him. It's not going well at all. All right, this is my favorite news story of the day because this is huge. It seems like at the surface it's just another PR stunt and it's back and forth and a public personality coming from the sports world trying to get out of a mess. Oh, no, I think it's a lot more than that. I think it really is. So you probably followed this because it's been going on now 3 days, I think. Another unhinged rant. And this one, once again, on X and Instagram, where the famous gymnast, great gymnast, one of the greatest female athletes of all time, Simone Biles, went off on Riley Gaines. Now, Riley Gaines, the swimmer, as you well know, has become maybe the forefront, the key person, the point person on protecting women's sports and stopping this lunacy of men competing against women and taking their opportunities away. So, she's the target of a lot of this stuff. Understandably so, and I think she understands that as well. So Simone Biles just went off on her and also took it personal, where she compared Riley Gaines' body to a man, and it got nasty, and so that's what it was. And then time went by, and it went on and on and on. Well, something happened in the meantime where you don't always hear until you hear the other side of things. The pushback against Simone Biles apparently was massive, and here's why this is a great thing. More than ever, it took to the national stage, because there's a lot of people who don't have daughters or don't, really, maybe they're older. They don't really follow this entire issue. They're too busy living their lives. They don't know about the idiocy and the insanity of men, biological men competing against women. Well, everybody knows about this now because the story was huge. So much so that the, granted, PR written apology from Simone Biles happened 48 hours after the incident. Typical what you would say. She writes on all her social media platforms. I wanted to follow up from my last tweets. I've always believed a competitive equity. I wanted to apologize. And then sensitive, blah, blah, blah. She never the focus of criticism. A flawed system they have no control over. I believe sports organizations have a responsibility to come up with rules supporting inclusion. This is clearly written by either AI or a PR team, but that doesn't matter. Don't worry about that. The important thing is the apology, which again, before, give it even a year ago, 2 years ago, this kind of thing and this kind of apology never would have come from Simone Biles. Riley Gaines does support it. She said, I accept your apology. She went on to say a couple of things. Sports are inclusive by nature. Lastly, I agree that the blame is on the lawmakers, leaders at the top. That's why I'm suing the NC2A, blah, 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 blah. And it goes back and forth. So it seems like it's over, but it's not. And here's why this is an amazingly great thing for sanity, right? Even if you don't have daughters who compete in sports, even if you don't really have a bone to pick or skin in the game in this particular issue, the reason why this apology happened from Simone Biles was the pushback was incredible. It was damaging her brand and her personality, if you will, so badly that she had to come out with an apology on this, where, as before, they never would have. Which means one thing and one thing only, and the biggest takeaway is people are aware of the issue of men versus girls in women's sports, which even saying it out loud sounds insane. And the second thing is they are getting pissed. You give Americans, you give us in society enough time to look at an issue and you say, wait a minute, that's not right and that's not fair. That's not right at all. Then you've got people pissed off and then things change. So dug a little deeper and I started looking at just a general consensus in some of the things, fans of Simone Biles and some of the things they had said. Holy God, the pushback against this girl was massive. That's why she came out, because she still has brands she endorses. She's still a personality. She has businesses she's part of. It was being hurt big time. And what that tells you is people are done with the lunacy. They're done with it. If they're ready to act out against a beloved supposed personality like Simone Biles, people were pissed. It's a big deal. It's a really big deal. So once again, and this has kind of been our theme today, sanity is starting to rule out, and it's a great, great thing. Want another great thing? I told you. We'll wrap it up with this. I told you it's all going to work out. Last Friday, I was all up in arms because mostly I was just pissed off at the reaction to people just picking a side. It's like, I'm Team Elon or I'm Team Trump. I'm like, my God, people, would you just give it some time, show some patience? First of all, personality-wise, they're going to eventually kiss and make up. When Trump calms down a little and when Elon gets off his ketamine high or whatever the hell he was on, whatever. And I thought it was going to work out because they both had the best thing in mind. And when people have different ideologies, it's like, when two countries will go to war with each other because they want power and dominance. That doesn't usually work out. But these were two, you could call them political rivals at time, but these are two major, major type A personalities working for the same goal, the best for the American people. It was a telltale sign that it was going to work out and everything was going to be fine. Well, took a little while. Took almost a week, or half a week anyway. This was from Elon late last night. Do you ever notice he goes on these posting rampages? I mean, the guy practically never sleeps. But when he does, he gets all this out of his system. Something happened in the background in the meantime. I don't know what it was that led Elon to say this. I regret some of my posts about President Trump last week. They went too far. The healing has begun. I told you it was going to happen. Now, what's the next thing? We all want the next thing to happen, right? For Trump's part, too, by the way, he also made a statement yesterday. He said, I still love Elon. See, they're kissing and making up already. And I appreciate what he's done, and I hope we can work with him in the future. Everything is fine. So what do we all want here? And what's the bottom line? Still working together for the betterment of the country and the American people, which tells me, I think, Doge is still a major factor and it's still going to keep on going. Because the biggest fear on this whole thing was all the, Elon's nerds he has working in Doge, and he's going through all the social security numbers and finding out all the fraud and the USAID crap. Our big fear was that was going to go away because they'd be all pissed off at Trump. I don't think that's going to happen now. So when this came out last night, I asked the question too. Here's our poll question for today. And I asked you like 15 minutes ago. What do you think? Because I'm amazed at the number of people who are convinced that all of this was contrived and all of this was made up. Was it or was it not? Well, you call. I asked for your comments, and I'm not saying it was or it wasn't, because I definitely thought this at first, and I said, nah, it can't be. Both of them are too pissed off. And there were reports about Trump being like livid when this first happened. But what do you think? Was it all just by design as a distraction? Your comments, reading now. I have StreamYard. I can't really tell which platform they're from, so I'll just go through them without any names or anything. Yes, absolutely made up, but glad they're together. It sounds like you're talking about a relationship or friends of yours, right? No, I don't think it went that far. No, I don't think they would do that. No, yes. 3 yeses in a row, meaning you think this was contrived and made up. Yes, because it got the Democrats thinking about something else. All right, I get what you're saying there. No, I don't think so. Yes, I do. And now I'm glad that they kiss and made up like a high school couple. Me too. I guess so the jury's still out. Here's the thing. We're never going to find out if it was contrived. I don't think it was, but I don't know. I'm just glad common sense is prevailing in so many of these stories, all right? Thanks for finding me. I'm out of material. You got to get going with your Wicked Wednesday, too. Make it an awesome one. We'll talk tomorrow. We'll see what's going on with that. In the meantime, make sure you follow and share along, and don't forget to download the audio podcast, too. This gets posted usually about 10 minutes after we wrap up, or at least usually by 9 a.m. Eastern Time. You can listen later. Or on the replay, follow along, like, and please put your notifications on as well. With all that said, it's only midweek? Really? All right. We'll see what's going on. Make it a wicked awesome Wednesday. We'll talk to you tomorrow.